Good morning. I just need to check that you can hear me. If you're here this morning, say g'day and or hello. My name's Linda. I'm in Brisbane, Australia, and it's beautifully brisk today. I just want to check that the sound is working for you, because we've got something pretty important on this morning. Something that's not spoken about a lot, and well, I know that in Australia it's not spoken about enough, and I assume that, let's just see. My name's Linda. Yep. Brisbane, Australia, and it's beautiful. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so let's just see what you feel about this subject if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. Today I want to talk to you about suicide. Now, recently I found out that an acquaintance of mine in the States, their daughter committed suicide because she had postnatal depression. For those who don't know what postnatal depression is, it's depression that you have after you have a child. Obviously not everybody gets it, but when you do, it's ongoing. Now, it's not the only form of depression or mental health challenge that brings about an outcome of suicide, obviously, but it is pretty severe, and you do feel like there are no solutions, you can't go on, etc., etc. When I heard that this beautiful lady's daughter, who was a beautiful, beautiful woman, had committed suicide, it really reached into my heart, and obviously I was devastated, but I also realised that we need to be able to have these conversations with each other in our families. We need to be able to be real and raw about what's happening. But I also remembered that when my kids were going through tough times with their mental health challenges as young adults and teenagers, I needed to, as a mother, be aware, which fortunately I was, be aware of the different behaviours and the different things that are happening in their life, in order that I could identify that they had mental health challenges, as well as if they were feeling suicidal. As parents, we don't actually come equipped with all this information. We have to learn it, and it's worth learning. So without going into it further, I'd like to bring up our first information board today. Okay, now this may take a little bit longer than normally. As you know, I normally like to get you off here pretty quickly so that you can digest the information and go on with your day. But I felt this was serious enough that we needed to look at this properly this morning. If you're here for the replay, thank you. Let's do a hashtag replay. And if suicide has affected your life in any way, shape or form, feel free to put suicide, me too. It's come into my life in many different ways, and we'll go through that. We'll talk about that as we go on. So in order to identify somebody who's feeling suicidal, you might see them feeling distraught, and you might be able to have a conversation with them that they can't see a way out of their problem. Now, at the moment, I also want to suggest that they may not be able to verbalise what's happening for them. Sometimes when it comes on, you just sit there with tears coming down your face and you don't really know what the emotions are initially, okay? So if someone's sitting there crying and they haven't got words for their emotions, that's okay too. Just let them take the time to bring up what's happening for them. People usually don't want to end their life. They want the pain to stop. And that's very, very true. When we used to live in Sydney, and my husband worked for a company Sorry, I just thought, how much can I say and how much can't I say? And what I did notice about the young man who eventually committed suicide was that he had closed himself off from the world. So he'd come in and focus on his work, but he wouldn't actually communicate what was happening for him emotionally or the pressure that he felt under. So you can look for those signs as well, that people aren't actually communicating the amount of pain that they're feeling. There's a sense of isolation and hopelessness if they don't think they have the support to get through. Now, this is actually a challenging one, because when you feel suicidal, you're not thinking about, have I got support or haven't I? Because the pain is so immense. So it's up to us at times like this to be aware that somebody has stopped talking as well about how they're feeling. So when you think about this, how important is it that throughout our day-to-day life that we talk to people about how they're feeling and about being aware of even body language? Are they really telling me the truth or not? Okay. I know with one of my sons, it took me a while to tweak what was going on with him, because he was pretty silent, and his nature is silent. He's not a big talker, and so it took a while to put all the pieces into place. But here's the thing: when you know somebody's not talking, start thinking. Okay, start thinking and start examining some of the things that we're going to talk about as well. Talking to people, which is what I just said, talking to people. Hi, Taylor. I'm better today. I'm sitting up for a while, then I'll have to sit back. For those who don't know, I've strained my lower back muscles. But talking to people can reduce stigma and encourage them to seek help. One of the hardest things you ever do when you feel suicidal is seek help, because you do feel lonely and isolated. So when you're feeling that way, how are you going to push through to seek help? And it really comes down to wanting to seek help, but it also can come down to those around us not giving up and making us seek help. One of my dearest friends, she was a mother of 3, and even though her family knew that she was suicidal, they also knew that she was determined to end her life and she wouldn't seek help. Now, this is back in the day when we didn't have internet like this by a long shot. And I don't think we even had Facebook back then. So it was very hard to have this kind of information to share with a community and say, well, even though she doesn't want to seek help, this is what we need to do. Okay. And it's, yes, the person is responsible for their actions, but we can go a long way to helping as much as possible. And if you're anything like me, you'll do anything to exhaust the resources to help somebody. So these are the subtle changes that we need to be aware of in the people around us, okay? And I think one of the hardest things to ask is, are you suicidal? And we've got to stop being afraid of our words, okay? We've got to learn that it's okay to use these words and say, I'm just checking on you. I care about you. I love you. Are you suicidal? I want to be there. I understand you may be feeling hopeless. You may be feeling like, no one's there for you, but it's not the truth. Yes, they have to do their part too, absolutely. But we can do our part. And that's really what we're here about today, is to help us be equipped to do our part, okay? Now, subtle changes that we need to be aware of in those that are closest to us. They could have sleep changes, either too much or too little. And definitely what will stand out, usually the most, is that they're having too much sleep. We don't know if they're having too little unless they're getting really irritable all the time, which is one of the subtle changes as well. So they have a loss of interest in things. So things that they would normally care about, you can definitely notice that they're not interested anymore. One of my sons became not interested in being around friends, being out doing things in group situations, all of that type of thing, and didn't want to get a job, just wanted to shut down in life and do the bare minimum. So you can be aware if we step back. It took me a while to put the pieces into place, so don't worry if it's taking a while to put pieces into place. That's normal because we've still got things we need to do, but it helps if we start being very thoughtful about what's going on around those closest to us. Being moody or easily upset, look, I could just tick these boxes sometimes for myself, but this is very real. They do get like that. Withdrawing from family and friends, especially if you've got a close relationship with them, and be aware that sometimes too, they can use a so-called family drama, when family gets together and, things happen, words get said, and normally you all just know, well, okay, we either talk it out, we apologise, whatever your family routine is. Some families just go away and never talk about it again, which isn't healthy, but that's their family routine. But what you want to do as a person is be aware when the other individual doesn't come back and connect with the family afterwards, okay? And we can say that I'm here till we're blue in the face, but sometimes we need to go and knock on the front door and say, hey, we need to address this issue, because that's what healthy families do, that no matter what the challenge is, we address the issues, okay? It's up to us to take the, not just responsibility, that's not really the word because we're talking about adults as well. It's up to us to take the initiative to make a step towards working out what can and can't be done. And we do know that there are people who just don't want help, and often there's not a lot we can do, but we do as much as we possibly can. Changes in eating, sometimes people who feel suicidal just have no interest in food whatsoever, okay? I've seen that happen. Food doesn't even taste the same for them, okay? So be aware of that. Self-harming is definitely one, although in later years too, self-harming, people know that the individual isn't feeling a lot of pain and they don't know how to express it. One of my children went down this road, but I put a stop to it by saying, right, you can continue on doing this, or you can seek help, and I will take you to whatever help you decide, because they're a young adult. Whatever help you decide that you need, I will take you. I will be there. I will help you in that regard, but you have to be the one that decides whether you're going to keep doing this or not. At the time, my close friends kind of freaked out and went, what are you doing? But that's what my child needed. They needed to know that I would be there and we could do this, and there are solutions, but you can't keep doing the same thing over and expect that that's going to help the pain that you're in, okay? Sometimes we have to be the strong one that stands up and says, okay, no more of this, okay, I'm not going down the same road again with you. Because what happens is we live on the eggshells. Oh, look, after it first happened and after the first hospital visit, I was just petrified every day that this was going to happen again, and that it was going to go too far, and that I wasn't going to be there if it went too far, etc., etc. So I did my research online as well. So one of the things you can do in this situation is definitely Google as much information as you can. But ultimately, the person who's doing the self-harming, they have to decide that they want to take responsibility to change their life. And I will walk with you every step of the way that you need to make sure that you get the help you need, because we're not going to have every bit of information that the people need, okay? Risky behaviour, consuming excessive alcohol or other drug use. That's not the only risky behaviour. Look, they can go out driving and be doing dangerous driving stunts. And if you're a mum and it's your kids, you will hear about their risky behaviour. It always finds its way back to you. Mentioning or joking about suicide, death or dying, okay, think about that. It's not normal conversation. So if it comes up, then you want to hit it head on and address it. Decreased academic or work performance, which that was one of the things I mentioned I noticed in my son. Putting their affairs in order, giving things away, saying goodbyes, writing suicide notes or goodbye letters. I actually haven't known many people who do the goodbye letters. You may or may not. And then, sorry about that. Okay. Now, they might be feeling hopeless, depressed, angry, irritable, distressed, worthless, exhausted, like there's no way out of their problems or no reason for living at all. And I think if you were to look at that, all of those, you can see how they're all emotions, okay? They're all energy in motion that they're holding tight inside of them. So one of the good things you can do is you don't even have to talk about depression or you don't have to talk about suicide to them. What you can do is simply take them out, and if they don't want to talk, go to a movie, okay? Just get them out of the environment that they're in so that they can stop regurgitating the emotions. They might say things which suggest that they see themselves as a burden. You'd be better off without me. And I think sometimes we hear our teenagers say that, so be on the ball. They can't see a way out of their situation. I've had enough, or I'm over it. And they're feeling a sense of hopelessness comes out as there's nothing to live for, there's no point, I've tried everything. That's another one that comes up. They believe that they've tried everything possible to get help, okay? And I think that if we can be aware of all those points and be aware that it's emotions, okay, that are running the show, we can begin to change up the energy around a situation. Now, the first thing you want to do is get medical help, okay? See a doctor straight away, get them to their GP, explain what's happening, get them to explain what's happening, okay? And start from there. But today, we've taken up enough of your time. So tomorrow, I want to look at more of the practical things that we can do to help someone that's close to us when they're feeling suicidal. Okay? Thanks for joining in today. It's been wonderful to have you. If you're here for the YouTube replay, please comment down below and hit subscribe for the latest videos. For all my Facebook Live family that come along and join in, thank you. And I will see you again, same time tomorrow. And it's such a privilege to help you out with the emotional side of life. Thank you. Bye for now.